Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. If you've ever found yourself wondering about the actual nuts and bolts mechanics of what happens before, during, and after our time on Earth, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to systematically unpack the profound teachings on eternal life found in our source material, breaking down some pretty complex esoteric concepts into clear, digestible pieces. We're diving straight into Chapter 6 of Ryuho Okawa's esoteric book, Buddha's Reincarnation. And let me tell you, this text doesn't just offer up vague philosophy. No, it lays out a comprehensive, almost mechanical system of how the soul operates across multiple lifetimes. We're literally looking at what the author presents as the fundamental truth of human existence, looking directly at the rules that supposedly govern our entire spiritual evolution.
Right out of the gate, the author hits the reader with this incredibly provocative claim. He essentially says, hey, do you remember my voice? You must have heard me speak in India. You've been born with me on Earth over thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years. It completely flips the script. You aren't just a blank slate. According to the text, you're an ancient soul being reawakened. It's a bold starting point that demands we completely reevaluate our understanding of ourselves.
To wrap our heads around all these vast cosmic concepts, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The forgotten truth. 2. Architecture of the afterlife. 3. The law of karma. 4. Mastering the mind. And 5. The eternal treasure.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the forgotten truth. The core argument here is that modern society has, quite frankly, abandoned the concept of reincarnation. But Chapter 6 is super clear. This isn't some comforting myth or a nice metaphor. It's presented as the absolute, undeniable engine of human existence. We possess eternal life, and we are constantly cycling between the physical world and the spiritual realm for one deliberate purpose: to evolve our souls. But the author points out, with a lot of lament, actually, how earthly common sense, modern education, and even a lot of contemporary religious authorities just treat the idea of past lives as a joke today. A total fairy tale. And the source material argues that by denying this continuous cycle, we are fundamentally denying human dignity. We're reducing an eternal, magnificent creation of the Buddha to just a temporary material accident.
Moving right along to Section 2, Architecture of the Afterlife.
So if the soul truly is eternal, what exactly are the mechanics of the world it enters when the physical body dies? Well, the text asserts that the afterlife is strictly divided based entirely on your internal spiritual state, your mind. All that earthly status, the wealth you accumulated, your physical success, totally irrelevant. Heaven is characterized as a high spiritual state of enlightenment, while hell is defined as a low state, governed completely by those unchecked worldly desires and negative emotions you didn't resolve while you were alive. But it's not just a simple option A or option B. The spiritual world is composed of dozens, maybe even infinite, highly specific layers. It's like the ultimate precision sorting system. You don't just go to a generic heaven or hell. You are sorted with absolute precision by your exact spiritual frequency. The text even notes that these fine divisions are so incredibly complex that the spirits currently living there barely understand the full extent of it.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the law of karma.
How does a soul actually get pulled into those lower frequencies? The text outlines a very clear, terrifying, but perfectly logical four-step progression. First, while we're on Earth, we develop strong attachments and cause harm. But our physical body acts like a buffer, making us spiritually blind or numb to the damage we're doing to our own soul. Second, physical death happens, and boom, that buffer is gone. Third, without the body, all that unresolved suffering and anger instantly surfaces. And finally, because the spiritual realm sorts strictly by frequency, that heavy, negative state actively drags the soul right down into the hell realm. The text puts it so intensely, stating that the suffering and grief you cause others revives in your soul, and your soul itself feels the vibration of hell. Because you're stripped of that physical numbness, you feel the pain you caused with excruciating sensitivity. It's not some judge handing down a punishment. It's you creating your own hellish reality based on your own past actions. You literally reap exactly what you've sown, felt at the deepest vibrational level.
All right, that's heavy. Let's look at Section 4, Mastering the Mind.
Knowing that negative earthly actions guarantee a lower vibration later, what are we supposed to do right now? Well, we aren't left without a defense. The ultimate safeguard, according to the text, is using spiritual truth to actively master your mind. We need to study Buddhist truth, discipline our emotions, overcome daily anxieties, and live righteously without heavy attachments. Basically, you're building an internal compass that points your frequency directly away from those lower realms.
The book really hammers home that the vast majority of our mistakes stem from unchecked emotional reactions, acting out of anger, jealousy, or greed. But gaining correct spiritual knowledge gives you the actual power to rule those passions. It's not just academic philosophy for passing a test, it's a practical, vital toolkit for keeping your spiritual frequency high in the middle of a chaotic life.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, the Eternal Treasure.
All of this rigorous mind management serves a massive purpose in the grand scheme of things. The text describes a fascinating timeline. The soul uses the relatively short, rigorous, and painful environment of Earth for intense training. Then it transitions to the afterlife to reflect on that life for hundreds of years. Once that reflection is done, the soul is reborn as a baby to tackle brand new spiritual challenges. It is a continuous, incredible loop of action and reflection. And here is the really crucial point. The effort you put into studying the truth, controlling your anger, and living righteously today, it isn't just to make today slightly better. The text promises that the enlightenment and lessons you gain are never wasted. They cross the boundary of physical death. They become a permanent, eternal treasure, literally described as an indestructible diamond that actively aids your soul's evolution in your future lives. It's the ultimate long-term investment.
Understanding this profound 180-degree shift in how we view our existence leaves us with a really powerful reflection. If we accept this framework, that we are indeed eternal beings cycling through this precise spiritual architecture, we have to ask ourselves, are you currently packing heavy worldly attachments that are going to drag you down? Or are you cultivating eternal treasures of the mind that will elevate you in your next life? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.